Some in Washington would like to see the system collapse completely. Congressman Reuben Gallego, for example, just sent a letter to General Mark Milley, he's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, telling him to defy the elected president if ordered to suppress the riots. This is insanity, and it can't lead anywhere good. For 230 years, we have been the beneficiaries of civilian control of the military. It's one of the main reasons this country has always been stable. But when the military becomes an independent political force, it's over. Democracy dies. We've resisted that many times. Just before the Second World War, for example, FDR ordered his generals to help Joseph Stalin in Lend-Lease. They didn't want to do that. They hated Stalin, and for good reason. They understood the mortal threat of communism. But they were told to do it, and they did it, because that's our system. It's democracy. That system has worked very well for a long time. In fact, it's why we revere our military, because we can. They're not part of our political system. Their only job is to protect the country, and they do. But if people like Mark Esper continue on this path, we will not like our military at all. We will be very afraid of them, and we don't want to be. Bryan Dean Wright is a Democrat. He's a former CIA officer, and we're happy to have him join us tonight. Bryan, thanks so much for coming on. Now, I'm not even going to ask you what you think of the president's idea to invoke the Insurrection Act to put troops on the streets. I want to ask instead about the chain of command. You served in government. Can bureaucrats decide unilaterally to make policy?
Well, that's what we've seen the past 3 years, isn't it? Brennan, Clapper, Comey, all that's now coming out. That's not a new phenomenon, of course. It's a horrifying one, but it's not new. But what we have here, I think, more specifically, is a Secretary of Defense who doesn't get it. All right, right now, let's just cut to the chase, Tucker. This country is on fire. We are facing an insurrection by people that we don't quite understand who they are. But by all indications, they are violent leftist thugs. And what Secretary Esper doesn't quite seem to get either is that the nation is panicking. 71% of us want the National Guard in our cities tonight. 58% of us want the military in our cities tonight. All right, the people are panicking. The country is on fire. Now, who is attacking us? Mr. Esper should know this.
Right.
It's Antifa, Department of Justice, NYPD. Others are saying this very clearly. These are people, by the way, that we faced back in the 1960s and 70s and early 80s. These were people who were far leftist, Marx, Lenin, folks who embraced that ideology. They allied with Black Panther movements, and it took many years to finally put it down. Very dangerous. And now this same group, who is allied, by the way, with the Democratic Socialists, we're talking to Bernie Bros and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, they're back. They're back with firebombs. They're back with bricks in our suburbs and our downtowns. That's something that Mr. Esper clearly doesn't understand. And then finally, we have a media that is feeding this flame, this horrific fire, this seditiousness. You have brought this up many times, including tonight. Let me read a headline from Slate magazine. Just yesterday, it said the following. Peaceful protests are an important tool, but so is violence. So now we have a media filling the airways full of this crap.
Yeah.
Put it all together. And the piece that you mentioned, no more police because we're going to defund those folks. We can't put forward the National Guard because that would be escalation. So now we take off the military from the table. What does that leave, Tucker? Let me tell you what it leaves. Vigilante justice.
That's exactly
It's you
right.
and me and everybody watching this program arming ourselves. Is that how we run a republic? No, sir, it is not. And you do not want a country that goes there. And that is precisely where the nation is headed. And we need for all of our leadership to understand that. And if Secretary Esper doesn't get it, doesn't understand that the oath is to protect ourselves from threats, both foreign and domestic, by God, get the hell out of the Pentagon and let somebody lead who gets it. Because that is the oath that he took, that I took, and that the people of this country demand of our leadership in this moment because we are on fire. Someone do something about it.
I couldn't agree more. That's inspiring, Bryan. I appreciate it. And you just have to wonder why people are encouraging this. You really should meditate on that, I think. I have been. It wrecked my day. Bryan, great to see you. Thank you.